Hey guys, Mike here. So big bounce back Friday, and we got some very interesting setups going into this week. Remember, we're going to be open Monday, half day Tuesday, closed on Wednesday, and I believe it's a full day Thursday and Friday if I'm not mistaken. And so shorten the week, lower volume most likely because it is a holiday week. So we'll see if they're going to grind us up. But when we look at the charts, you'll see what I'm talking about. Also, I'm going to show you who's really getting rich during this Palantir run up because that stock is just kind of lost all reality and totally, I mean, it's outdoing Tesla, pretty much any of it at this point in time. It's kind of crazy to see it, but I'll kind of show you why that's happening and who is just absolutely banking on this, man. But I did want to show you this and catch you up on this economic data. If you're wondering why the 10-year has been going crazy and stuff, and it's because GDP is coming out better than expected. And this, I always say, compare it to, back in the day from 2015, 2019. And you can see not much difference, right? I mean, this is what they're giving us. Again, we can only go off the data we are given, but one reason you keep seeing this, and especially when it comes to employment and everything else, is just look at this right here, percent of GDP. Government spending 16.9%, but when you look at quarter by quarter, look how much they've increased from Q1, Q2, and Q3 of 2024. And so that's why I say when people talk about Elon going in there and Vivek and everybody else clearing things out, I'm like, trust me, that won't last long if you start to see the economy fade, and especially if it affects the stock market. You forget about that, brother. There'll be some way they might look like it's being done, but they're not going to sit here and tank the stock market doing that. Now, manufacturing data, just so I can show you, it looks like hot garbage as usual, below the zero line, which has been like that for, I don't know, 2 years now or something. That's Kansas City. And this is Philadelphia, you can see, still a hot mess as well. And so no surprise there. I think everybody keeps expecting a turnip or something, but maybe that'll happen eventually, but sure ain't happening right now. So that's still terrible. Now, going over into the SPY here, you can see, boy, that's a big old candle. Gave, quite a bit of it back actually at the end of the day in the last hour and a half, really. But again, we were coming down. We got in that gap. I told you, look at extended trading hours. You can see we filled half of it. And it was a huge bounce. It may not look like that during regular hours, but we're talking like 3 to 4% recovery from overnight because they just sold it down. But it came into support, boom, flew right through those gaps. No surprise there. Ended up above the 50 moving average, which was good. And you look at the RSP, and that was the big one, right? And the RSP, you're sitting here right there getting rejected at the 100 moving average, but it finally broke at least this streak of just getting decimated. Did close above that trend line right there, above that support area as well. Did not make it down to 200. Again, if it breaks down, look for the 200, but right now that is not the case. And of course, everybody's gonna be looking at, are we going on a Christmas rally? Are we going on a Christmas rally? But look, this bounce Friday was strictly, we'll see what happens. I'll show you a great chart to show you they were loading up. But when you're to the extreme of what we were with stocks above their 5-day moving average, stocks above their 20-day moving average, all this other stuff, you had to get a bounce, especially with RSP and the Dow doing what they were doing. I mean, hadn't seen down, trends like that in a while. But here's the volume bar, right? I mean, huge volume bar. And you can see they were buying up crazy. We can't, retail can't do that. But when you look, the last couple of times you've seen this, over the next like 1 to 2, months or whatever, you can see big moves up, right? Big volume spikes. And so, we'll see if that continues to happen. Again, a lot of people are waiting, trying to see if it's going to be a Christmas rally, and that is not guaranteed, no way, shape, or form. What you're looking at, if you're a bear, they're trying to get up to this trend line right here, break down, start heading down. That's what they want to see. So you got to get above that trend line. You got to mitigate that entire huge daily fair value gap of that big red candle right there. And again, if you're a bull, they're just looking to break above it, retest that area, and then go, right, and start heading up at the end of December, January, February. The Qs bounced off the 50 moving average multiple times right there, as you can see. And we have extended trading hours on, so you can actually see that, because you wouldn't see that if you just had regular trading hours on. And so again, it couldn't quite get above that anchor VWAP where we had that big drop with the Fed meeting and stuff like that. But it did hold the 50 Fibonacci level. And so we'll see if this continues to move up. The Max 7 were green, and they kind of sold off at the end of the day and stuff. And that's really going to depend on the Max 7 for the Qs, of course. We'll see if we see rotation out of that into something else. That's what we'll have to see. But, just looking at this right here, clearly you could see there was that volume gap, and it just went right through it like a hot knife through butter. So if it can continue right there, you can see it can move quickly, right? It can absolutely move quickly up to around like 530 right there if this thing continues to get momentum and we get this low volume melt up. If it comes down, it's going to come down just as quick. All right, so there's not a lot of resistance, not a lot of support in this area. Again, IWM was right there, that magic spot. You can see that is nice. Used to be resistance, support area, and it did get above the 100 moving average right there. That's where it closed above. And again, this one gave a lot of it back at the end of the day as well. So this was doing the best because the 10-year started to roll over probably around like 10 o'clock in the morning. And so you can see these gaps right here. So if it can get above these certain levels, right, 228.28, it can move up very quickly. That's what happens when you get a big move down. That's why we've seen those V-shaped recovery type deals on these kind of moves down when you're at the top. There's just not a lot of support or resistance right there. And so again, this one couldn't close above what? The FOMC anchor VWAP either. And so just like the Qs. And so it is holding to see what we do here. And again, this one's going to depend on the 10-year yield, right? We don't have a lot of data coming out this week, as you'll see. So if a 10-year starts to just go sideways, or especially roll over, then that's going to be good for IWM. Nvidia is going to be interesting this week. You know, if Tesla's moving, can it move? If it's moving, can Tesla move, right? But again, it's below that 21 EMA. Some people like to use the 20. Either one, it's still below it. It's below that trend line. Couldn't get above it. It tested the 100 3 times, and it did hold that. It did close above that neckline once again, just kind of teasing us. So the question is, did it suck people back in to get a rejection here and start heading down? And if the pattern holds true, if Tesla starts to run, you would think Nvidia's probably going to end up selling off or just going sideways. And then if Nvidia starts to run, Tesla might not have a good week. So again, you got a lot of stuff to get through right here. And, you know, with the low volume, you just don't know what they're going to do. And trust me, I look at the charts. Santa rallies are not guaranteed. Look over the last 5 years. I challenge you to do it on the indexes. I don't mean certain stocks can't run, okay? Now, when you look at this, you can see even closer, that level right there, 135.25. I mean, that's been a beast for it. You can see it rejecting multiple times right there. So again, you know, it's got to hold that. It's got to get above that descending trend line, start to head to 140. I know a lot of options like the 140. I believe it's for the January 17th. It's got a lot of volume to it, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And so, you know, and I guess the risk reward in a way is there because it's so much cheaper now than it was. But, you know, same thing. Again, we'll draw this right here. And you can see some people are saying, well, what this is a falling wedge coming down into what was resistance and support, right? And so, you know, looking at that, yeah, that was a nice bounce from there. But we're just going to have to see if it can continue. Right now, semiconductors, you know, some are doing okay and some are just hot trash right now, okay? And, you know, you look over here, AMD, prime example. And this one finally, after a long time, has fallen out of that shaded area, got rejected at that 0.79 fib, and nobody got no love for this one. I mean, this thing is a mess. So again, could it continue to fall? Sure, it could do just like what MU's doing, right? It seems like your new leaders are really like Taiwan Semiconductors, Avgo. If Nvidia could keep going or could actually get going, you could see that. But you know, AMD, I mean, and what does that do? It sets what? The lower low we've been waiting on. It seems like forever. Right? You got that high, lower high. Or sorry, you got the high, the low, the lower high, the lower low, the lower high, and then finally now this is a lower low, okay? And so, you know, it's in the support area. If you're going to get the bounce, like this is it. Like you can just kind of see, but this thing could drop all the way down to around that 107, 108 area. If they want to continue to press this one down, there's nothing much going on right here at all. But as you can see, if it gets a bid, you see that big volume gap to the right there, it can move quickly up to around 137. So, you know, don't ever count it out. We've seen this many, many times before. You just need rotation. It's just that simple. Tesla sitting there bouncing off that 9 EMA, closed below it on Friday, as you can see right there. These are daily candles. So you got 3 red daily candles right there. And so, again, you know, looking at it, it's trying to hold support. It's been a big move up. That's what I'm saying. Now Palantir is actually outperforming this one. But when you look over here, again, do we have a 50 Fibonacci retracement level? No. But, you know, if it does get down there, I wouldn't be surprised to see a bounce. With this one, though, as usual, we're just looking to see if the call sweeps start rolling in. Okay, and we have seen, you know, some people are saying that's it for, what was it, 80 something, whatever it was kind of a temporary top, I believe 489 or whatever it is. And then you got to wait till beginning of the year to start to see this thing ramp up to 500. But we know, you know, we've seen that movie before. And all of a sudden this thing comes down, gets a retracement, maybe it comes down, hits this trend line right here, which will put it somewhat coming into like the old all-time high and that 50 Fibonacci retracement level, which would be a decent bounce for it. And if you're an Nvidia holder, that's really what you want to see. Like, you want to see this thing come down into that area, show some weakness, because it might actually give Nvidia a bounce up. I mean, that really is the way I'm looking at it. But if it starts to roar, I mean, unless the trend breaks, I can't imagine. But again, this is the FOMC anchor VWAP. What's it doing? Just kind of riding it down at this point in time. Got rejected on Friday from it. That's when you see the candle right there on the 30 minutes, selling it off at the end of the day. No surprise there, closing out positions. The traders were before you get this big holiday week. And so that would be a decent bounce area if we can get it. But again, I think if you're an Nvidia holder, you're hoping at least Tesla goes sideways or slightly down and give Nvidia a chance to actually move up. Now, Microsoft, if you're looking at the cues to bounce, even the market, this was coming down for a retest now. It mitigated that big weekly fair value gap. Excuse me, that's a weekly fair value gap to the penny. Started somewhat bounce, held that support right there. So if this starts heading to those all-time highs, along with what other stock? Apple. Apple, man, is just a beast. To me, it's just nothing but a safe haven. Look at this. Weekly candles. 5 weeks in a row. Even with all that red last week, look at this thing. Still marching up. Every week setting new all-time highs. Again, 6% revenue growth. But the cash, enough cash to buy small countries, I was telling members. And to me, it's more of a safe haven. When you see them start pounding Apple, that's what it is, right? There's no risk of this going out of business. They know a lot of people are in it. They get a good dividend. And so if those two start moving again, two heavyweighted stocks like that, it's kind of a sign. Now, Palantir, look at this one. Even with all that selling last week, you can see, man, Friday, huge day up, but it held its own even during the sell-off to get right up to those equal highs, or what was the all-time high. Stopped right there to the penny, at it again. And so with this one, why is it moving around? And what's happening is, again, you got a retracement from that previous level of the 0.79 fib, and it bounced, right? So it's respecting the fib levels. You just don't have a major retracement down where this whole thing started. You pull down here, you still hadn't had that kind of retracement when so many other stocks have, right? But this one just hasn't. Like I said, it's just, and the one thing about these kind of stocks, remember, you got the Palantir army, you got these stocks, they just have a huge following, and they continue to buy and buy and buy. And I'll show you who's getting absolutely just, they're already wealthy people, I guess, but wealthy beyond their wildest dreams. But when we pull this one to see where it can go, there are levels above here, right? So it has been respecting these fibs, 87, 91, 27. If this decides to keep going up, obviously it comes down, falls back in that shade areas where you're going to look if you see any kind of weakness coming up with this one. But when you look over here, you can see it keeps getting news every day, right? I have a new contract, and this is what a lot of people are betting on. When Trump gets in there and Elon Musk, and remember, one of the co-founders of Palantir was a huge donator to Trump. They keep getting these contracts, but look at these insiders, man. This is funny to me. Insider buys versus sells over the last 3 months. Buys 3 million, sells $3 billion worth of sales. And these guys already had money, for sure. The two founders are billionaires. And then all these other folks you see in here. But I mean, 23 million sale, $95 million sale. And you start scrolling and you start seeing some really big ones in here, right? 1.3 million, that's nothing. 369 million, 4 million, 4 million, 10 million, 21 million. Look at this one, 157 million, 73 million. And so, the higher this thing goes, the more they're like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, look at this one, $399 million. Again, most of these, 2 of them were billionaires. The rest of them, I'm sure, were already millionaires. I'd be selling too. Let me tell you right now, because remember, they're getting these stock options. They're like, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to us, right? And I'll give you a tip in just a second. But, obviously, short week, data you're going to have to look at is only consumer confidence on Monday. Tuesday, half day is going to be core durable goods, new home sales, manufacturing data. Wednesday, we're closed. Thursday, unemployment claims, crude oil inventories. Friday, you're looking at really nothing to worry about. And a tip for you guys, which I always get questions about, if you want to start a financial channel, there's 4 stocks you need to cover, and that is it. If that's all you're looking at is views and everything else, and you want to pull those armies to your channel, it's going to be in no certain order. Tesla, Nvidia, Palantir, SoFi. I have seen it. I've seen people just absolutely, they're already on YouTube, make a pivot, and they know for the views, all they got to do is cover those 4 stocks, and those 4 stocks has probably the biggest armies out there of followers, and they flock to those channels, and it works. I'm telling you. So if you're looking to do it, go ahead and do that. I just never, I don't care to make that pivot. I don't care to cover just those 4 stocks, and that's all I'm going to talk about. But That's what you got. I mean, remember, you got little YouTube channels that only talk about just Palantir, or just talk about Tesla, or just talk about Nvidia, or just talk about SoFi, and so that's what I'm talking when I say armies behind these stocks and stuff. And so, but Palantir is no different than anybody else. It'll have its retracement back down at some point in time, just like all these stocks have. It will, but right now that is not the case, and so we'll see how it keeps going. Let me know how you're playing it and stuff, and congratulations to anybody that's holding it. Congratulations to all those insiders that are making hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars selling on the way up and stuff. So we'll see how many contracts they get when Trump comes into office and all that fun stuff. I even think Elon Musk started following them today on Twitter or something I saw. So that kind of stuff pumps things up as well. So anyway, hope you guys got something out of it. Again, I'll put a video out tomorrow, probably not Tuesday. We'll see. No, actually, I'm not doing Tuesday or Wednesday. And then we'll be back hopefully Thursday or something. We'll see how it's going. So anyway, I'll see you guys later. So have a good night.